Happy Friday. Celebrate every day. It is National Authors Day. We'll be right back. Well, hello. This is Cindy here, your National Day Calendar ambassador, coming to you from beautiful Huntington Beach, California. And today I have Jim Menge and Patrick Snell. We're going to talk about what National Authors Day means to them. And a little bit later, we'll be getting Robin Stern on. If not, we're going to be sharing his information as well. So go ahead and tell everybody what National Authors Day means to you, and I'll be right back.
Go ahead, Jim.
All right. So National Authors Day is really a day of acknowledgement, and so I'm looking forward to it, and hearing Patrick and just the questions or anything else that we could say. I'm honored to be an author and get my word out.
Yeah, and I would echo those same thoughts that life is short, and what we do between the dashes of our birth date and our death date matters. And so I feel like a book is a great way to take what you've learned, what we've learned, and share that with the next generations. I think it was Abraham Lincoln that said the only way the dead can teach the yet unborn is through the written page. And another author once said that there's only two things you can leave behind on this earth. One is your children, the other is your art. And so for that reason, I love the idea of writing books, helping people publish books. So yeah, what a cool day this is.
Yeah, loving it. So when I think about writing, I mean, quotes for me, just being able to talk to people about what we've written. And the thing that I look forward to the most is when someone sends a question or a comment back on something they've read, and I can add that to the blog or even to the next book in terms of, just clarifying, expanding, growing, developing the storyline. So.
Well, and Jim, you just are in the process of updating your book. So how has that gone, and why update the book? Obviously, you're adding new content, new material, new stories. Tell us about how that process has been.
Yeah. So, and Patrick, that's a great question, because in my book, Never Travel in a Straight Line, Discovering Travel's True Purpose, I did it myself, and I did it myself, not only writing it, but also for the most part, editing and developing the content. And I think the difference this time is I hired a really, really, really special coach who has been working with me to not just review my content, but also expand the content and make it more presentable to more audiences. And that special coach is Patrick Snell, right here on the call with us.
Well, thank you for those kind words. I think what I've been so maybe inspired about the whole book industry and about writing books is we think we write this book to a certain niche or a certain market or a certain type of person or age of person. And then getting feedback from the readers when we get these comments and emails from people that are completely outside of what we think is our target market. They're like, oh, the book has helped me in this way, and the book has helped me in that way. And that just makes you feel good that realize, you know what, we can't limit the message of our book to a certain group or a certain target market. You got to be open that so many more people can do it. And in your book, Jim, you got all kinds of information now about leadership, about change, about empowerment, about transformation. So talk about maybe some of the differences between your first edition of the book,
Sure.
and now the enhancements of the second edition.
Sure. So in the first version, I just told stories, and which were fine. But what Patrick helped me do was in primarily two areas. One was adding content. So as Patrick went through the book, he said, "Hey, there's some main thoughts that are coming out. Things like self-leadership, how you travel on your own, why you make the decisions you make, how you got into the career that you're passionate about, and chapter on passion and why I'm passionate about travel, and why I'm passionate about travelers developing their own stories. So that's my audience, are people who travel and want to find their own stories, develop them. And the third one was a chapter on purpose, because purpose drives what I do every day. And I learned that through 13 weeks of really intensive introspection, that how important purpose is. So I added those 3 chapters. In the process of the self-leadership chapter, I shared about having a heart attack. And in that heart attack was the idea that I was losing my grip with self-leadership and allowing others to direct my life. So through that, then Patrick said, you should expand that chapter from self-leadership to self-care. And that's what I did. And then in that self-care chapter, another piece of content came out, which was around fear, and the fear we have in moving forward in our dreams, moving forward in caring for ourselves, moving forward with our passion or our purpose. And so I added those 5 chapters. That's the first thing I did that's different. Then the second thing I did that's different is I added sections to each chapter. So my chapters begin with my story, which is in part what was originally in the book, but I reformatted it. What I learned. So each chapter has what I learned now. The third thing I added was exercises. So giving the reader something to reflect on, think about, okay, if I want to understand this better, here's what I could do in my life. Fourth section were tips on how to develop the better principles for that chapter, and then a summary and a call to action. Call to action being something that is encouraging the reader to get off the rear end and go do something about whatever that chapter is about. It's self-leadership. It's about moving forward and creating the life you love, and not just creating it, but living it and loving it. So Patrick, those are the 2 main things I did in the revision to this book.
Well, my mentor, Dan Poynter, taught me, instead of writing a brand new book every year, which most people do, and the reason why is they just think that's the plan of action or the way to do it. And what happens is, unfortunately, the average author in a lifetime only sells 250 copies of their book. And so his message is, instead of writing book after book after book and selling almost no copies, you take that one book, such as Never Travel in a Straight Line, and plant that in your yard like a tree, and then water it, and then nourish it, and then maybe decorate it at the holidays, and then allow that tree to blossom and to grow and expand. And so you do the same with your book. You add new chapters, new experiences, new aha moments, new book awards, new testimonials. And when I did that with Creating Your Own Destiny, my first book of that 3 years ago was 10 chapters and 140 pages in softcover. And then 11 years later and 11 editions later, that book evolved from 10 chapters and 140 pages to 16 chapters and 325 pages.
Wow.
Because life continues to happen to us and for us. And as that does, we need to capture some of that new growth, put it in the book, expand that. And it's a whole lot easier to re-release your book in a 2nd, 3rd, 4th edition by adding one new chapter than to sit down and create a whole brand new book from scratch. And
so Patrick, sorry.
No, so I think that's the beauty of doing it. And it's a whole lot easier. That way you can keep marketing your same book.
So Patrick, in your revisions, if I follow the same path, do you edit the current chapters that you have? Do you update those chapters as well, or do you feel like those are pretty current, or what's your process for that as an author?
Well, I think I might update, dates and ages and time frame, geographics, or mostly it's just like time of history. Like I might say, as someone in my 20s or now in my 30s and then 40s and 50s, or it might say, 5 years ago, but now that it's, 10 years later, then I might say about 15 years ago. So I try to keep the book and all chapters updated based on time frame and also based on whatever's happening in the world to kind of better connect with the reader that way.
Okay, I'm going to have to pop you off for now, Patrick, because we're going to have each author telling his story. So I'm going to pop you off, and I'm going to talk to Jim for about 10 or 12 minutes, and then I'll pop you back on. Thank you. So let's talk about the book.
Okay.
So do you have the book? You want to talk about a couple of the chapters, and for the next 10 or 12 minutes, tell people why they need to buy your book.
Yeah. So I would say a few things, Cindy. The first thing is discovering travel's true purpose. And what I found was that in my career, while I've traveled to over 100 countries, people still ask me, what's your favorite country? Or, where do I get the best tapas in Spain? Or where do I get the best margarita in Mexico? Or, where do I find the best sushi in Japan? And what I say generally is, hey, there are plenty of guidebooks to go find those things out. And those things change all the time. And the traveler should look for whatever's current, whatever current information is out there. My book goes a couple levels deeper than that, because mine is about asking yourself, why do you want the best tapas? Why are you even going to Spain? Why Mexico? Why Japan? And even I lived in Japan for 6 years. So I would ask questions about, where should I go in Japan to have the richest experience? How do I learn to meditate? How do I learn to do a pilgrimage there? If I were going to Spain, I would ask questions around, how do I learn their culture, and, why they take siestas, or why tapas? Why not, full on meals? Or why do they eat dinner at midnight? In Mexico, I might ask questions around, their cultures, and, what's the history there, since it's, for a lot of our audience, we're in the United States. It's, that's the top country most Americans go to. So I would say that, that's the purpose behind my book, and Never Travel in a Straight Line, is really more about discovering, travel's true purpose. And that true purpose is really when you discover that you are the destination, not the place, and not the end of the plane ride or the train ride or the ship. But when you find out that you are the journey and you are the destination, is what travel's true purpose is about.
And so what would you suggest in the book, that what chapter really is going to resonate with people like myself, and, marking off their bucket list, they're, making the most of that dash?
Yeah. So my book is broken into 4 sections. Okay. So, and those 4 sections are wandering, pondering, traveling, and returning. And I did those intentionally because, wandering is about, maybe not having a hard itinerary. It's about going somewhere and being free to experience what that looks like at the time. And so one chapter in that section that I get the most feedback on is baggage. And baggage is about, not just the baggage that, people check under the plane, but the baggage you find with other travelers. So what does that look like? It looks like, have you ever gone to the airport and you see people, at the front counter, and they're moving stuff from one bag to another because their bag's too heavy?
Yes.
We see that in real life, where people are, offloading some trait that they have by offloading some of it to another trait. Sometimes people don't carry baggage, and, those are the people who kind of race through, and, they're like freewheeling it. You see people who bring too much baggage or heavy baggage onto the airplane, and they try to get it in the overhead, and they can't lift it themselves, right? That's metaphorical for people who go into a place, and their baggage is so heavy, you could feel their energy, you could feel their angst, you can feel their stress or their anger or even their happiness. So in the wandering part, that's what I go. And each section has a poem that I wrote that's relative to that section. The second section is called Pondering. And pondering is really about, what the experience is that you're going to have, as you reflect on what your trip is about, whether it's business trip. I would say that half of my travel has been business trip related, but I still ponder it. I still think about where I'm going and what do I want to get out of that trip. In part, what I'm going to see in that trip. I'm going to Rome, then that's going to be a different sort of pondering than if I'm going to Tokyo, right, or Sydney. And but pondering is about that. And in this chapter, I wrote. Probably my favorite chapter in this section is called People You Meet Along the Way. And that chapter is about, about people and about who they are and about why it's important to connect with people where you're going, right? The connecting with the people beginning at the airport, beginning on the airplane. When I went to Kenya, I was traveling with a friend. That's in a chapter called Mancation. And
Wow.
and we were in the last row of economy, and there were 3 seats. There was him on one aisle, me on another aisle, and this Kenyan lady sat between us. And so as Randy and I were talking across the lady, she said, "Oh, you need to go to this restaurant," or "Oh, you should see this," or "Oh, you should do that." And so that's what Randy and I did. We went to the places she recommended, and that made all the difference in the world on that trip for us.
Wow.
Part 3 is called Traveling. And I wrote about things like 9/11, where every year I travel on 9/11 as a testament to what that experience was. Probably in that chapter, in that section, the chapter on Road Warrior and Road Wearier is about, how to not exhaust yourself in travel. But, exhaustion happens. People get tired. And then the fourth part I wrote is called Returning. And returning is about, when you come back from a trip, business or pleasure or family related, the people who didn't go on your trip don't have the same experience. You maybe had something profound. Maybe you had more emotion involved in that trip than the people who didn't go on that trip. And so you need to give them grace. You need to give them space to go through that. And probably in that section, probably my favorite chapter is how will we remember? And the quote is how will we remember to remember? And I use boarding passes for that. So when I go to the airport and check in, I have my phone, but I still get a paper boarding pass. And in that paper boarding pass, then, I put it in a box and I go back. I might even write a note on it, why I'm going, where I'm going. And I reflect on those boarding passes from time to time and go like, oh yeah, I remember traveling here and the person who sat next to me. And that really is the sort of the bones behind this book, Cindy, are those boarding passes and recalling the stories and then putting them together in this book, Never Travel in a Straight Line.
Yeah, and I actually have an upcoming book, and that's going to come out sometime next year. Patrick and I are going to go in another podcast to talk about that in January. But I actually have a section there that talks about the value of remember. Like, what are we doing at the end of our life? How are people going to remember us? And actually, I have a crazy story. One of the most amazing bucket lists of my life was just a few weeks ago. I was supposed to be in Orlando at a ship tour, and just didn't work out. So I ended up having a 4-hour layover in New Jersey, and a couple of my travel agents live in that area. So I ended up going to a winery. We got a great recommendation from one of my travel agents who is a chef. And he said, don't go to Gino's or Pat's for the Philly's sandwich. You want to go to John's. And I went to John's. And what I do around wherever I travel, I have a little sticker that says recommended by Bucket List Coach Web Show. And so I was able to put a sticker right there where they had the James Beard Foundation information. And the manager's like, yes, put the sticker there. And of course, the Rocky Stairs. And I'm getting chills just thinking about it. Literally one of the most amazing bucket lists of my life to be a part of that history. So But
Nice.
there was a little baggage on the airplane. I sat in the wrong seat, and there was this
Oh,
couple that was supposed to be in that seat and in the middle, and the husband just went off on me. You're in the wrong seat, and started
oh,
yelling. I'm like, you know what? You could be nice. You're traveling. This should be fun. Yeah. So
wow.
it just goes back to what we've said on several of my podcasts. You just have to be nice to people. This month actually is National Gratitude Month. So whatever you're doing out there, show gratitude, compliment someone. One of the things I do when I'm in line, if I'm in line with someone else, I'll go to a coffee shop or somewhere and get a gift, and then I'll give it to the person in front of me or in back of me, just because.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So now they're going to be talking about that story probably for the rest of their life. So
Nice. I like
I'm
that.
gonna pop him in, and then I'll pop you out. And then if you want to
All right.
stay till the end,
Yeah, I'll stick around.
yeah, we'll talk about my books.
I'll just mute my background.
Okay. Patrick Snow, how are
Hello.
you?
Thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, thank you, thank you. So let's talk a little backstory. So you're originally from Seattle, now live in Maui, Hawaii. Let's talk about that, and let's go into the 1,500 authors that you're making a difference to.
Well, I was born and raised in Michigan, and then I
Oh,
graduated
Michigan,
from
okay.
the University of Montana in 1991, moved to Seattle for 23 years. And then in 2011, moved to Maui, Hawaii. And through this time, people have asked me, well, how and why did you move to Maui? And I said, because I can. And what I mean by that, not trying to be
Mhm.
arrogant, it's just that when you are in the field of coaching, you have the ability to live anywhere and everywhere you want. And so in my situation, yes, I live in Hawaii, but yes, I still put in a full day's work, and I get down and hunker down and make things happen. And so, yeah, I've been very, very blessed to serve upwards of about 1,500 clients over 25 years, helping them write, publish, and promote their books. Many become best-selling authors. Others become speakers and coaches. So thankfully, this career choice has given me the ability to be very flexible when it comes to geography.
And if anybody wants to become an author, I've actually introduced Patrick to one of my friends in San Diego. But if you want to become an author, just do hashtag becoming a best-selling author, and then I will connect you to him. So let's talk about in our local community. So we have Mary West book is coming up. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, Mary's working on a book titled it's all about networking and networking your way to wealth. I think she's got a couple different titles in mind, so I don't know if that's been finalized, but she is like the queen of networking, and I believe that's how you and I originally met, was through her.
Yeah.
And so based on that, Mary and I have been working together for maybe 20 years, 18, 19, I think it has been 20 years. And we originally met because she asked me to join her networking event. And at the time, I was so busy traveling that I said, well, I can't commit to a regular attendance every week at a networking event. And then she went ahead and bought like 100 copies of my book and delivered a check to my house. And I said, well, let me think about it. I need to rethink about that idea of joining that networking event. And that was the beginning of a long, wonderful partnership, friendship, associate. She's just an amazing person, and so appreciate everything about her. And she is probably the most talented networker I know, and you'd probably right up there in that same category as she is. But you guys are both amazing people that way.
So let's go down the list. So we have Valerie. Her book is coming up as well.
Yeah, her book, Valerie, is all about time and money freedom. And unfortunately, so many people get stuck in front of the computer 24/7, 365, or they get locked into working a job with lots of hours that prevent them from truly experiencing life. And her book is all about how to find your passions, turn those passions into your profession, figure out a way to leverage technology to your benefit and not get stuck having to work so many hours. And that's all about helping her clients find time and money freedom, which she has done. And she's the sponsor of our show, the Patrick and Mary Unstoppable Author Interview Series. And we certainly couldn't do it without her because she's one of the most advanced technology gurus that I know. And she is the glue that holds that whole program and podcast or webcast together.
Yeah, and then she's actually a partner, so to speak, social media partner with my travel agency. Like I've had Robin Stern, which we're going to talk about in a minute, but he's been on a weekly webinar with my travel agency. So I also want to let everybody know, if you have something that you're passionate about, just let yourself know that you're going to fail before you succeed. I had 2 travel agents in 2018. As of last week, I had 86 travel agents and 72 active. Because some people are, on hold after COVID and stuff like that. But if you just find something that you're passionate about and tell your story, connect to Patrick and tell your story. So let's talk about Mr. Robin Stern.
Robin C. Stern has written an amazing book about leveraging Google's free stuff. And that book is incredible. I learned a ton of things from it. Most people don't have huge internet marketing budgets, regular marketing budgets, advertising budgets. And so he shows people organically how to use the free tools that are already available on Google to help you take your business to 6 figures and beyond. And love Robin. He, like Valerie, is so advanced technologically. One of the smartest individuals, most talented individuals that I know. And he's the kind of person that you want on your side. Whether you can get an hour with him or a day with him or hire him as a coach full time, he can definitely take your business to the next level. I'm a huge fan of a successful business is a business that focuses on marketing and not advertising, because advertising can be very, very expensive. Oftentimes doesn't work, where marketing can be free or very low price. And so he's a internet marketing phenom, internet marketing guru. And his book is definitely a must add to your library collection. So that's what that's all about.
Oh, yes. And I'm going to talk about how he's changed my life in so many ways. I mean, because he's a partner with our agency, for one, teaching people. One of my agents just got her Google page. For instance, through my brand, I've gotten my business 10X. Just the other day, I had a client that I booked about 4 or 5 months ago for Roatan, Honduras. And I asked him to do a review, and he posted over 60 pictures on my Google page. So because of Robin, I've actually been one of the top agencies in my neighborhood also, because he taught me how to use that. So definitely connect with me. I could connect you to everybody on the show, Robin, Patrick, Jim Mensch. And let's talk about TU Knapp.
Yeah, TU is quite an amazing person. I mean, if there's a word that describes her, it would be survivor. She's gone through a lot of trauma earlier in her years, and she's come out with a beautiful heart, smiling, glowing, full of God's unconditional love. And she is an amazing author, an amazing speaker, and an amazing coach. And so if there's anyone out there listening that has had any trauma in their life, then you need to touch base with TU Knapp, and she can take you by the hand, take you by the heart, take you by the mind, help you unconditionally love your betrayers, help you forgive them, help you forgive yourself. And then she's among the best people in the world that I know to help you reclaim your self-worth and self-love and self-esteem, self-confidence, and get you back on that journey towards achieving your dreams, goals, and visions. So I would definitely reach out and have TU help you, coach you through that on your journey. And I know I have a book somewhere on my shelf, but I don't have the title of it off the top of my head. Maybe you could share that if you have that.
Yeah, I could actually put it in the notes later. So Dr. Michael Gross, what do you got to say about him?
Wow. His book is titled The Spiritual Primer. And I've got a copy of that book right here because I always keep it close by. And this book is a life changer. It's titled The Spiritual Primer, Reconnecting to God to Experience Your True Sources, Love, Joy, and Happiness. Applying God's 12 transformational laws to reawaken your soul. And that's his personal mission, is to help people reconnect with God, to help them emanate unconditional love, in a quote that he shared with me. And I've actually adopted him as my new surrogate father about 10 years ago when I lost my own father. So he's been an amazing mentor, healer, coach, friend, dad in my life. But he gave me a quote many years ago that I think is life-changing. And the quote says this. He termed this quote many, many years ago and used it in his healing practice. that nothing negative can reside in the frequency, energy, and vibration of God's pure, unconditional love. So be love. So fear cannot, anxiety cannot, pain cannot, heartache cannot, depression cannot reside in this space. So again, nothing negative can reside in the frequency, energy, and vibration of God's pure, unconditional love. So be love. And when you look at people like Tiu, like Robin, like Jim, like yourself, you guys are emanating and beaming God's unconditional love. And hence, that's why you're some of the happiest people on earth. So,
Definitely. Yeah. And he did a really amazing testimonial on my book too. Absolutely phenomenal. So let's talk about what we got going on. So growing your business through referrals and national days, a guide on networking, gratitude gifting, and celebrating with the National Day calendar. Let's talk about this book. How valuable is this going to be to the general public or business owners who are new or getting back in the industry?
Well, I think your book is all about helping people understand this concept that whatever you focus on expands. If you focus on fear and pain and anxiety and doubt and regret and angst and worry, you're going to get more of that in your life. But if you focus on all of the gratitude and the blessings that you have in your life, God will bless you with more blessings, more things to have gratitude towards. So you really help people understand the concept and the power of networking, referrals, leveraging these national days, but you help people really take an introspection of their life and really have gratitude become the underlying theme or the foundation of your life. And when you're full of gratitude, it's really hard to have anything take you down. So I can't wait for this book to get out there. And I'm so proud of you for all your great work with it.
And I've gone down the rabbit hole many times. I want to do a shout out to Karen McLamara, one of my coaches. Well, we actually coach each other on the goals and stuff that we're going to do. Accountability partner. So that's really important, guys, too. If you are planning to get a book, you're going to connect with Patrick, of course, and you're going to find an accountability partner to keep you accountable. Because I've been working on my book for quite a few number of years. And I keep on getting in the rabbit hole. Well, I want to add more. And so that's the thing that I want to tell you about, a takeaway about being an author is get out of that rabbit hole, finish your book, and then you could just work on your other editions. So let's see what else we have here. And then we have the ebook that is coming in December. So this is just kind of a start for the actual travel book that I'm going to have in the future, but it's going to be really, really amazing. And it's just a way to remind you on how important it is to live that dash. So it's living life, building your business, or you're building your bucket list ebook. So let's talk about that. What kind of value would that add to somebody who wants to check off their bucket list?
Well, I think that people are living foolishly thinking that time doesn't exist, meaning that they think woulda, coulda, shoulda, one day, someday I'll do this, or someday I'll do that. But unfortunately, someday is not one of the 7 days in a week. Sunday is, but not someday. And so we got to set our goals, set our dreams, set our visions. And as we do that, put together a list, put together a bucket list, things that you want to do, things you want to have, places that you want to go, people that you want to meet, adventures and experiences that you want to do. And once you start putting that together, then create a plan. And that's what my book, Creating Your Own Destiny, is all about, is dream, plan, execute, and soar. And in this book that you've written, is it helps people formulate that plan to go out there and knock off one of these steps, one after another on their ebook. On their bucket list. And when they do that, then they can truly, really rise and experience what life has to offer them.
But yeah, the one thing that I talk about is the bucket list isn't just travel. It's, let's say, learn to surf, learn to skydive, write a book, and just something that's epic. And I also talk about goals. So I treat my bucket list as a goal also, like weekly, monthly, every 6 months, every 2 years, stuff like that, because the bucket list is just your wish list. So what are you doing to mark off that wish list? And most people, there's two reasons that people do a bucket list. One, you're 90 years old and you're like, where the heck has my life gone? I got to start doing things I want. Or it was an illness. With me, I had an illness and I was existing in most of my life. And that's actually how I met Jim Edge. I joined a travel club in 2012, and in 2018, I started my own agency because I wanted something that was going to be epic and create those lifelong experiences. So thank you so much for all that you do for all us authors. Is there any other authors you'd like to plug?
You know, I got two more authors that are books are hot off the press. And one is Dan Winker. His book is titled Staying on Guard. And you can go to stayingongard.org. And he's a avid mountain climber, mountain hiker. And his book is all about a near-death experience in the mountains of Jackson Hole, Wyoming area, and how he was trapped and fell into a 60-foot ice moat into the crevice deep down in the dark in a waterfall, and literally had to climb out 60 feet soaking wet. It took him about half an hour to get out, and he barely made it out with his life. And so his book is all about being cautious at all of your dreams, goals, and visions, making certain that you're safe, but also asking yourself the question of what ifs versus not anymore. What if we could do this, or what if we could do that, or maybe we shouldn't do that anymore because maybe we're not physically fit enough to do that. Another book that I'd like to promote is, I think, the most talented ukulele virtuoso on planet Earth, Mr. Derek Sebastian here in Maui. He's just released his book, Daydreaming with Purpose. And that book is all about turning your dreams into your profession, and how he, as a local boy Hawaiian kid, grew up on Maui, playing the ukulele, 2 to 4 hours every day to become one of the best, ukulele players in the world. And now he's an international sensation. And now he inspires other people to also daydream with purpose and hold true to that passion and follow that to the end. So
we have another author from Oahu. You want to do a shout out to him as well?
We have another,
the fitness book.
We got a lot of Honolulu clients, but we just did this book several years ago. I just interviewed him. This is Egan Anoy, Becoming Relentless in Pursuit of Life's Passions, Fitness Goals, and Mental Toughness. He owns 2 gyms on Oahu, but Egan is an 8-time world champion athlete and founder of Egan's Training Center. He's a 2-time Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion. He's, I think, a 2 or a 3-time national world racquetball champion. And then he's also a former MMA fighter world champion. Wow. And so this guy is relentless, and he can show you how to become relentless in your life as well.
That's amazing. Wow. This is a really great show, and I thank both of you to be here. Unfortunately, Robinson wasn't able to make it today, but I'm going to be doing a shot of just what we talked about for him, and I could repurpose that too. And the same thing for when you two spoke. I can do different shots and split up the video. So at the end of the show, I always ask, what is the one thing that you would like to do to perform a random act of kindness to a complete stranger?
Yeah, I would say buy him a cup of coffee, or, carry a bottle of water in your car and give it to someone who looks thirsty.
Patrick?
I think I would like to, I love that, Jim, by the way. That's amazing. I would like to instill some hope and belief in a stranger. So many people in life don't have people that believe in them. And so maybe that's our biggest role in life, is to empower and inspire other people to believe in themselves. And once they learn to believe in themselves, perhaps maybe they can take that next step, that next journey, that next goal on that bucket list, so to speak, and not give up. And so if one life has lived easier because of the belief I've had in them, then I think I've done my job on earth.
Definitely. Well, on the 3rd is National Sandwich Day, and I'm going to take my lovely Great Dane lab for training. And so I'm going to give a special little gift to our trainer person. And also I'm going to promote a local deli for National Sandwich Day. And of course, as I always do, I try to call at least 5 to 10 people a day to express gratitude. And anybody I see out in the community, I will compliment them on their smile, their hair, how they dress, stuff like that. Because you never know what the person was dealing with earlier. Like maybe something happened at work, something happened at home. And most importantly, when you're on an airplane, be nice. Be nice to others and just find ways to make people feel great. So anything else you'd like to add about being an author? And then I'll put you in the green room. Patrick?
Thank you.
I would just say this. Every one of us can write and publish a book. I always ask people, if not you, then who? If not this, then what? If not here, then now, or here, and if not now, then when? So I just challenge people, think it, ink it, believe it, and achieve it, and it will happen in time.
And don't be afraid. Just do it. I was afraid. The reason I started my book journey is because one of my friends attended a Facebook workshop I did. Why don't you have this in a book? Oh, I'm a horrible writer. They're like, yeah, but you have great content. We love taking these classes. Just write a book and you can figure out everything else later. You have someone edit it. You could even do your own cover if you want. So it's here we are all these years later. And yeah, we're in the right place at the right time with Patrick for sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to pop you in the green room and I'll be right back. So there you go. Happy Author's Day. Let's see what else it is. National Brush Day, National Calzone Day, Cinnamon Day, Cook for Your Pets Day, which I'm going to do a video about that here in a little bit, Deep Fried Clams Day. And we'll see you on the other side.